The wedding invitation sits on Cassian Wu's desk like a declaration of war. Gold embossed letters spelling out his ex-fiancée's name, Elara Park, marrying Victor Hahn, the golden heir to a corporate empire built on smiles and lies. Cassian doesn't flinch. He's built his fortune in the shadows, where empires are carved from blood and silence. They expect him broken. Instead, he feels ice crystallizing in his veins. He won't show up defeated. He'll arrive with someone who makes Elara's perfect wedding look like a funeral. And when he finds Naomi Vale, a sommelier who doesn't bow to power, he offers her $50,000 to play the role. She refuses. Until she doesn't. The moment she agrees, neither of them realizes they've just lit a fuse that will burn them both. If you want to see how this storm ends, follow this story to the very last word. Hit that like button and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this tale travels. A sheet pot. Cassian Wu held the invitation between two fingers like it might combust. The paper was heavy, expensive, the kind that announced wealth before you even read the words. Gold script, embossed roses, Elara Park and Victor Hahn request the honor of your presence. He didn't laugh. He didn't crumple it. He just set it down on the glass surface of his desk and stared at it like it was a chessboard mid-game. 30 floors below, the city pulsed with neon and noise. Up here, in his penthouse office, everything was silent except for the hum of ventilation and the faint clink of ice in his glass. Whiskey. Neat. He took a sip and let it burn. Elara. 3 years since she'd walked out. 3 years since she'd looked him in the eye and said, "You're going to die alone, Cassian, and you'll deserve it." He hadn't argued, because she was probably right. But now she was marrying Victor Hahn, a man whose entire existence was a PowerPoint presentation. Clean, polished, perfectly curated. Victor's family owned half the city's commercial real estate. They threw charity galas. They smiled for cameras. They didn't know what it was like to build something from nothing, to claw your way up from basements and back alleys where deals were made with broken noses and blood on your knuckles. Cassian had built his empire in those basements, and he wore it well. He picked up his phone and dialed. "Marcus? Boss?" The voice on the other end was clipped, efficient. "I need a date for a wedding." A pause. "You want me to find someone?" "Someone sharp, someone who won't flinch when the room gets ugly." "What kind of wedding are we talking about?" "The kind where I'm the cautionary tale." Marcus exhaled slowly. "I'll see what I can do." Cassian ended the call and drained his glass. The whiskey didn't help. It never did. But it gave him something to do with his hands while his mind turned over strategies, angles, vulnerabilities. He wasn't going to show up alone. He wasn't going to give Elara the satisfaction of seeing him fade into irrelevance. He was going to burn that wedding to the ground, just quietly. 2 days later, Marcus called him with an address. "There's a woman, sommelier at Nocturne, high-end clientele. She doesn't take shit from anyone." "Name?" "Naomi Vale." Cassian rolled the name around in his head. "She available?" "For 50 grand? Probably." "Set it up." Chet. Nocturne was the kind of restaurant where silence cost more than noise. Dark wood, low lighting, the air smelled like aged wine and old money. Cassian walked in wearing a charcoal suit that cost more than most people's monthly rent, and the hostess didn't ask if he had a reservation. She just led him to a corner table where he could watch the room. He didn't have to wait long. Naomi Vale moved through the dining room like she owned it. Not arrogant, just certain. She wore black, simple cut. No jewelry except small silver hoops in her ears. Her hair was pulled back tight, and her expression was neutral in a way that made you think she was taking notes. She stopped at a table where a man in a tailored suit was gesturing too broadly, voice too loud. Cassian couldn't hear the words, but he could read the body language. The man was performing. Naomi was listening. Then she spoke. It was quick. Surgical. The man's face shifted from smug to confused to irritated in the span of 3 seconds. Naomi didn't blink. She just turned and walked back toward the bar, leaving him sitting there like someone had pulled the rug out from under his ego. Cassian felt a smile tug at the corner of his mouth. That's the one. He stood and intercepted her near the wine cellar entrance. "Ms. Vale." She stopped, turned, and looked him over with the kind of assessment usually reserved for wine lists. "Do I know you?" "Not yet." Her eyebrow arched. "Then you're either a customer or a problem." "Neither. I'm a proposal." She folded her arms. "I don't take propositions." "Good. I'm not offering one." He gestured to an empty booth. 5 minutes. She studied him for a long moment, then walked toward the booth without waiting for him. He followed. They sat across from each other. Naomi didn't lean back, didn't relax. Talk. Cassian liked her already. I need a partner for a wedding. Rent an escort. I need someone who can hold a conversation, someone who won't break under pressure. Still sounds like an escort. $50,000. One night. That got her attention. Not the wide-eyed kind, just a sharper focus. What's the catch? The wedding belongs to my ex-fiancée. She's marrying into old money. I'm the ghost she doesn't want haunting the ceremony. And you want to show up with arm candy to prove you've moved on. I want to show up with someone who makes them second-guess everything. Naomi leaned back now, eyes narrowing. Why me? Because you just dismantled a man twice your size without raising your voice. She smiled. It wasn't warm. Flattery doesn't work on me. Good. I'm not flattering you. I'm stating facts. She tapped her fingers on the table. What's the role? Art curator. My partner. We've been together 6 months. Lie. Performance. Same thing. Not if you're good at it. She stared at him for a long moment, and Cassian realized she was deciding whether he was worth the risk. 50,000, she said finally. Cash. After the event. Before. Half after. She considered that. Fine. But I have conditions. Go ahead. I'm not your prop. If someone asks me a question, I answer it my way. You don't script me. Agreed. I'm not sleeping with you. Wasn't planning on it. And if this turns into something illegal, I walk. No questions, no explanations. Cassian met her eyes. Fair. She extended her hand. He shook it. Her grip was firm, no hesitation. When's the wedding? 3 weeks. Then we start tomorrow. The next evening, Cassian met her at a gallery in the Arts District. It was one of his properties, a front, mostly, for moving money, but it had enough legitimate art to pass inspection. Naomi walked in wearing jeans and a leather jacket, and Cassian realized he'd never seen her outside the controlled environment of Nocturne. She looked different, sharper edges, less performance. Nice place, she said, glancing around. You actually own this? Among other things. Vague. I like it. She stopped in front of a painting, abstract dark reds and blacks bleeding into each other. This real? Depends on your definition. She shot him a look. Are you always this evasive? Are you always this direct? Touché. He led her to a back room where he'd set up a table with wine, cheese, and a folder full of documents. Homework, he said, tapping the folder. Naomi flipped it open. Inside were profiles, Alara Park, Victor Hahn, key family members, business associates. You're serious about this, she said. I don't do things halfway. She scanned the pages, her expression unreadable. Alara looks polished. She is. And Victor? Everything she thought I wasn't. Naomi glanced up. That bother you? No. Liar. Cassian poured 2 glasses of wine and slid one toward her. She took it, but didn't drink yet. What's your story? She asked. You read the folder. That's their story. I'm asking about yours. He leaned back against the table. I built a business. She wanted a different life. We didn't reconcile the difference. That's the sanitized version. It's the version you get. Naomi took a sip of wine, watching him over the rim of the glass. If we're going to sell this, I need to know who you actually are. You need to know the character I'm playing. Same thing. Not even close. She set the glass down. Fine. Then tell me about the character. Cassian exhaled. Cassian Wu. 34. Art collector. Self-made. Quiet money. Doesn't need to prove anything because he already has. And me? Naomi Vale. 30. Curator. Specialized in contemporary works. We met at an auction. You corrected my bid. I liked the audacity. She smiled. That part's believable. They spent the next 2 hours building the details. Favorite artists? First date. Inside jokes. Naomi absorbed it all like she was studying a wine list, asking questions that cut deeper than Cassian expected. Why'd you really break up with her? She asked at one point. Cassian hesitated. She wanted someone softer. And you're not. No. Do you regret it? He met her eyes. Regret's expensive. I don't buy it. Naomi nodded slowly. Good. I don't either. Over the next 2 weeks, they met 6 more times. Each session peeled back another layer. Naomi learned the cadence of Cassian's world, the way he moved through rooms, the way he listened more than he spoke, the way his silences carried weight, and Cassian learned her. She was ambitious, driven. She didn't apologize for wanting more than what she had. She talked about opening her own wine bar someday, something intimate, something hers. Why haven't you? He asked one night. Money? Time? Fear? Fear of what? Failing, succeeding, take your pick. He understood that. One evening, he brought her a velvet box. What's this? She asked, wary. Open it. Inside were diamond earrings, subtle, expensive. She closed the box and handed it back. No. It's part of the look. I don't need diamonds to look the part. Then what do you need? She thought for a moment. A single pearl, simple, unyielding. He got her the pearl. The night before the wedding, they met one last time in Cassian's penthouse. The city sprawled below them, lights flickering like dying stars. Naomi stood at the window, her reflection ghostly in the glass. You nervous? Cassian asked. Should I be? They're going to tear you apart if they sense weakness. She turned to face him. Then it's a good thing I don't have any. He almost believed her. Naomi. Yeah? Thank you. She looked at him, really looked. And for a second, the performance dropped. Don't thank me yet, she said quietly. We haven't survived it. The wedding venue was a glass cathedral perched on a hillside overlooking the water. Everything gleamed, white roses, crystal chandeliers, a string quartet playing something soft and forgettable. Cassian and Naomi arrived exactly 15 minutes late. She wore red, not the soft blush pink every other woman in the room wore. Deep scarlet silk that moved like water, cut sharp at the shoulders, a slit that suggested danger without announcing it. The room noticed. Conversations paused. Eyes tracked their movement. Whispers rippled outward like a stone dropped in still water. Cassian kept his hand light on the small of her back, present, not possessive. They moved through the crowd like they belonged, and somehow, impossibly, they did. Alara saw them first. She stood near the altar in a gown that probably cost 6 figures, all lace and tradition. Her smile was perfect. Too perfect. But when her eyes landed on Naomi, something flickered. Cassian felt it. The shift. The crack. Victor Hahn approached, hand extended. Cassian, glad you could make it. They shook hands. Victor's grip was firm but performative. Victor, congratulations. Victor's gaze slid to Naomi. And you are? Naomi Vale. She didn't offer her hand. Pleasure. Victor smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. What do you do, Naomi? I curate. Art? Experiences. Cassian almost laughed. Victor's smile tightened. Well, enjoy the evening. He walked away and Naomi leaned in slightly. He's exactly what you described. Told you. Also, she added, he looked at my chest twice in 10 seconds. I noticed. Should I be flattered or disgusted? Both, she smirked. They found their seats near the back. Not exiled, but not prominent. Exactly where Cassian expected. The ceremony began. Alara floated down the aisle like something out of a commercial. Victor waited at the altar with a smile that belonged on a campaign poster. Cassian watched, detached. But Naomi watched Alara like she was reading a text she'd already memorized. She's terrified, Naomi whispered. Cassian glanced at her. What? Look at her hands. He did. Alara's fingers were white-knuckled around her bouquet. She doesn't love him, Naomi continued, voice barely audible. She's performing too. Something cold settled in Cassian's chest. The officiant droned on. Vows were exchanged. Rings slid into place. The kiss was tasteful, brief. Applause. And then it was over. The reception was a different kind of war. Champagne flowed, the band played. Conversations buzzed with the kind of energy that came from people who knew they were being watched. Cassian and Naomi moved through it like smoke. They danced once, just enough to be seen. Naomi followed his lead, but only just. She made it look effortless. "You're good at this," he murmured. "So are you." "I've had practice." "Lying?" "Surviving." She didn't respond, but her hand tightened slightly on his shoulder. When the song ended, they separated. Cassian went to the bar. Naomi drifted toward a cluster of women near the dessert table. He watched her work the room, subtle, graceful, never pushing but always present. And then Ilara appeared at his side. "Cassian." He turned. Up close, she looked older, tired beneath the makeup. "Ilara, beautiful ceremony." "Thank you." She glanced toward Naomi. "Who is she?" "Someone I'm seeing." "She's lovely." "She is." Ilara's smile was thin. "I'm glad you're doing well." "Are you?" Her eyes hardened. "Don't do this." "Do what?" "Play games. Not tonight." Cassian took a sip of his drink. "I'm not playing anything." "Then why are you here?" He met her gaze. "You invited me." "I didn't think you'd actually come." "Then you don't know me as well as you thought." She flinched, just slightly. "Excuse me," she said, and walked away. Cassian felt nothing. An hour later, Naomi found him on the terrace. The night air was cool, sharp. "You good?" she asked. "Fine." She leaned against the railing beside him. "Ilara cornered you." "Briefly." "What'd she say?" "Nothing important." Naomi studied him. "You're lying again." He didn't deny it. They stood in silence for a moment, the city glittering below. "This was a mistake," Cassian said quietly. "The wedding?" "Coming here. Thinking it would change anything." Naomi turned to face him. "Then why did you?" He didn't answer. "Cassian." He looked at her, really looked. And in that moment, standing on a terrace above a wedding he didn't belong at, with a woman he'd hired to play a role, something shifted. "I don't know," he admitted. Naomi's expression softened, just slightly. "Then let's find out," she said. Before he could respond, the terrace door opened. Victor Hahn stepped out, champagne in hand, smile sharp. "There you are," Victor said. "I was hoping we'd get a chance to talk." Cassian straightened. Naomi didn't move. Victor's eyes flicked between them. "You know, Cassian, Ilara told me a lot about you." "I'm sure she did." "She said you were dangerous." "Did she?" Victor's smile widened. "I didn't believe her. But now, seeing you here with—" He gestured vaguely toward Naomi. "I'm starting to think she was right." Naomi's voice cut in, calm and cold. "Is there a point to this?" Victor turned to her, surprised. "Excuse me?" "You came out here for a reason. What is it?" Victor's smile faltered. "I'm just making conversation." "No," Naomi said. "You're marking territory. So mark it and move on." Silence. Victor's face darkened. "You know, I looked you up." "And?" "You're a sommelier." "I am." "Not exactly an art curator." Naomi didn't flinch. "I'm both." "Really?" Victor's tone dripped skepticism. Cassian felt his jaw tighten, but before he could speak, Naomi stepped forward. "You want to know what I do, Victor? I taste things. I find the flaws hidden beneath the finish, the rot under the polish." She tilted her head. "You'd be surprised how much wine and people have in common." Victor's face went red. "Enjoy your wedding," Naomi said, and turned back to the railing. Victor stood there, humiliated, furious. Then he walked away without another word. Cassian exhaled slowly. "Jesus," he muttered. Naomi glanced at him. "What?" "You just declared war." "He started it." "That doesn't mean—" "Cassian." She turned to face him fully. "If we're doing this, we do it all the way. No half measures." He stared at her, and then, for the first time in years, Cassian Wu laughed. Inside, the reception continued. Music swelled. Glasses clinked. And across the ballroom, Ilara watched them through the crowd, her expression unreadable. Something had shifted, and everyone knew it. The ballroom felt smaller after the terrace. Cassian and Naomi moved back into the current of champagne and forced laughter, but something had changed. The air tasted different, sharp, metallic, like ozone before a lightning strike. Naomi's red dress caught light with every step. People tracked her movement, their conversation stuttering mid-sentence. She didn't acknowledge it, just kept her chin level, her expression neutral, like she was cataloging every face, every whisper, every flicker of judgment. Cassian stayed close, but not possessive. A hand on her lower back when they navigated the crowd, a glance that said, "I'm here without words." They found their table, 8 seats, circular, tucked between the dance floor and the exit. The other 6 chairs were occupied by couples Cassian recognized from Alara's orbit: hedge fund managers, startup founders, people whose smiles cost extra. A woman in champagne silk looked up as they approached. Her name was Lauren. Cassian remembered her from 3 years ago. She'd been at the engagement party, the one where Alara had worn his ring and laughed at his jokes. "Cassian," Lauren said, her voice honeyed. "What a surprise." "Lauren." He pulled out Naomi's chair. She sat without hesitation. "And you must be, Naomi Vale." No hand extended, just her name, delivered flat. Lauren's smile tightened. "How do you two know each other?" "Auction house," Naomi said. "He bid on the wrong piece. I corrected him." "How romantic." "It was practical." The man beside Lauren, her husband probably, choked on his champagne. Naomi didn't blink. Cassian sat, and the table fell into the kind of silence that precedes warfare. A waiter appeared with wine. Naomi lifted her glass, swirled it once, sniffed, then set it down without tasting. Lauren noticed. "Not to your liking?" "It's fine. Just young." "Young?" "Bottled last year. Decent structure, but no complexity. It'll improve in 5 years. Right now it's just trying too hard." The table went quiet again. Cassian felt a smile tug at his mouth. He took a sip of his own glass. "She's right." Lauren's husband leaned forward. "You a sommelier or something?" "Among other things," Naomi said. "What other things?" "Depends on the day." He laughed, uncertain whether she was joking. Across the table, a younger couple exchanged glances. The woman, blonde, mid-20s, wearing too much foundation, leaned toward Naomi. "So you work in wine?" "I work with wine," Naomi corrected. "There's a difference." "What difference?" "One's a job, the other's a relationship." The blonde blinked. "That's deep." Naomi's expression didn't shift. "It's accurate." Cassian watched the table navigate around her like she was a reef they couldn't chart. She didn't try to fit in, didn't soften her edges. She just existed, sharp and unapologetic, and it made people nervous. "Good." Lauren tried again. "How long have you two been together?" 6 months, Cassian said. "Really? I'm surprised we haven't met before." "We keep things private," Naomi said. Clearly, Lauren's smile was poison wrapped in politeness. Cassian was always so public with Alara. Naomi tilted her head. "Was he?" "Oh, absolutely. They were everywhere. Galas, fundraisers, magazine spreads. The perfect couple." "Perfect," Naomi repeated like she was tasting the word. "Interesting choice." Lauren's smile faltered. "I just meant, I know what you meant." Naomi leaned back in her chair, her gaze steady. "But perfection's a performance, and performances end." Silence crashed over the table. Cassian didn't intervene. He just watched Lauren's face cycle through confusion, indignation, and finally, reluctant respect. The blonde cleared her throat. "So, what do you do, Cassian?" "Still in whatever it was?" "Investments," Cassian said. "Property, art." "Art?" Lauren perked up. "Like Victor's family?" "Not quite." "What's the difference?" "I actually look at the pieces I buy." Lauren's husband laughed, too loud. "Shots fired." Lauren shot him a look that could strip paint. The conversation fragmented after that. Small talk, safe topics, the weather, the venue, the flowers. Naomi participated just enough to avoid rudeness, but Cassian could see her attention drifting, cataloging the room. Then the music shifted. A slow song, something classical, strings heavy. Victor and Alara took the floor for their first dance. The room watched. Phones came out. Cameras flashed. Alara moved like she'd rehearsed it 1,000 times. Probably had. Her smile was radiant, her steps perfect. Victor led with confidence, his hand firm on her waist. They looked like a magazine cover. Cassian felt nothing. But Naomi. Naomi leaned forward slightly, eyes narrowing. "What?" Cassian murmured. "Watch his hand." Cassian did. Victor's grip on Alara's waist was tight. Not gentle, not affectionate, controlling. "He's leading too hard," Naomi said quietly. "She's compensating." Cassian saw it now. The tiny adjustments in Alara's posture. The way her smile never reached her eyes. She's scared of him, Naomi added. Or just nervous. No, Naomi's voice was certain. That's not nerves. That's survival. The song ended. Applause rippled through the room. Victor kissed Alara's hand and she beamed at him. Performance. The dance floor opened to other couples. Cassian stood, offered his hand to Naomi. Shall we? She looked at his hand, then his face. You don't strike me as a dancer. I'm full of surprises. She took his hand. They moved onto the floor and Cassian pulled her into position, close but not invasive. His hand found the small of her back. Hers rested on his shoulder. They started to move. Naomi followed his lead, but barely. She anticipated his steps, adjusted before he even signaled. It was less like dancing and more like negotiation. You've done this before? Cassian said. Once or twice. Liar. She almost smiled. Takes one to know one. They turned and Cassian caught sight of Alara watching from the edge of the floor. Her expression was unreadable, but her jaw was tight. She's staring, Naomi said. Let her. You don't care? Should I? Naomi studied his face. I don't know, should you? Cassian didn't answer. They danced in silence for a moment, the music swelling around them. Other couples filled the floor, Lauren and her husband, the blonde and her date, Victor and Alara, making another circuit. Why'd you really come here? Naomi asked. I told you. You told me a story. I'm asking for the truth. Cassian met her eyes. What makes you think there's a difference? Because I've been watching you all night, and you're not angry, you're not jealous, you're just empty. The word hit harder than it should have. Maybe that's the truth, Cassian said. Maybe. Naomi's grip on his shoulder tightened slightly. Or maybe you're still trying to figure out what you lost. I didn't lose anything. Then why are you here? He didn't have an answer. The song ended. They stopped moving, but didn't separate immediately. Thank you for the dance, Naomi said, her voice softer. Thank you for not stepping on my feet. She smirked and stepped back. As they left the floor, Victor intercepted them. Cassian, Naomi. His smile was sharp. Enjoying yourselves? Immensely, Naomi said. Victor's gaze lingered on her. You know, I've been thinking about what you said earlier. Which part? The part about wine and people. And? I think you're right. Some things do rot under the surface. His smile widened. But the trick is knowing when to cut your losses. Naomi's expression didn't change. Is that advice or a threat? Just an observation. Noted. Victor turned to Cassian. Alara wanted me to thank you for coming. Did she? She did. Said it meant a lot. I'm sure. Victor's smile faded slightly. You know, Cassian, I always wondered what she saw in you. You're smart, sure, successful, but there's something incomplete about you. Cassian felt his jaw tighten. Incomplete. Like you're always holding something back, always calculating, never just present. Naomi's hand found Cassian's arm. Not possessive. Grounding. Funny, she said to Victor. I could say the same about you. Victor's eyes went cold. Excuse me? You heard me. I don't think you understand who you're talking to. I understand perfectly. Naomi stepped forward, her voice dropping. You're a man who inherited everything and earned nothing. You wear your family name like armor because without it, you're just another insecure boy playing dress-up. The air went still. Victor's face flushed red. You don't know anything about me. I know enough. Naomi tilted her head. I know you're terrified she'll realize she made a mistake. I know you're holding her too tight because deep down, you know she doesn't love you. And I know that no matter how perfect this wedding looks, you're already losing her. Victor's hand clenched into a fist. Cassian moved between them, his voice low. Walk away, Victor. Or what? Or I'll make sure everyone in this room knows exactly who you are. You don't have anything on me. Cassian smiled. It wasn't kind. Try me. For a long moment, Victor just stood there, rage simmering behind his eyes. Then he turned and walked away. Naomi exhaled slowly. That escalated. You started it. He deserved it. Cassian didn't disagree. They moved back toward their table, but before they could sit, a hand touched Cassian's shoulder. He turned. Alara. Can we talk? She asked quietly. Cassian glanced at Naomi. She nodded once. Permission or dismissal, he wasn't sure. Sure. Alara led him away from the crowd toward a quieter corner near the gallery of wedding photos. They stopped in front of a picture of her and Victor cutting the cake, all smiles and staged joy. Nice photo, Cassian said. Don't. Don't what? Mock me. He looked at her, really looked. Up close, the cracks were visible. The makeup couldn't quite hide the exhaustion. The smile couldn't quite mask the tension. I'm not mocking you, Cassian said. Then what are you doing here? You invited me. I didn't think you'd bring her. Why not? Alara's jaw tightened. Because it's cruel. How is it cruel? You know how, Cassian crossed his arms. Enlighten me. You brought someone who looks like that, who talks like that, who... She stopped, exhaled sharply. You brought someone who makes me look small. That's not on me. Isn't it? Alara's eyes flashed. You came here to prove a point. To show me you've moved on, that you're fine, that I didn't break you. Did you? She flinched. Alara. Cassian's voice softened slightly. I'm not here to hurt you. Then why are you here? He hesitated. I don't know. Liar. Maybe. She looked away, blinking rapidly. I thought it would be easier if you came. I thought seeing you would close something. Did it? No. Her voice cracked. It made it worse. Cassian didn't know what to say. I'm not happy, Alara whispered. Then why are you doing this? Because it's safe. Because Victor is stable, predictable. He won't destroy me. And I would? She met his eyes. You already did. The words hung between them like a guillotine. Alara, don't. She stepped back. Just don't. She walked away, and Cassian stood there, alone among the wedding photos, feeling something crack open inside his chest. Naomi found him 10 minutes later. You good? She asked. Fine. You're lying again. He didn't deny it. She stepped beside him, looking at the photos. What'd she say? That I destroyed her. Naomi was quiet for a moment. Did you? Probably. Do you regret it? Cassian thought about that. I regret not being what she needed. That's not the same thing, isn't it? Naomi turned to face him. You can't be someone you're not even for love. Speaking from experience? Always. He looked at her. What happened? Someone tried to make me smaller. I left. Good. Was it? She shook her head. I still wonder sometimes. If I'd stayed, if I'd compromised, maybe I'd be happier. Or maybe you'd be dead inside. She smiled, sad. Yeah, maybe. They stood in silence, the music from the ballroom a distant hum. We should go back, Cassian said. Why? Because if we don't, people will talk. Let them. He studied her. You really don't care, do you? About what people think? She shrugged. I used to. Then I realized their opinions don't pay my rent. Cassian laughed. Actually laughed. What? Naomi asked. Nothing. Just, you're not what I expected. What did you expect? Someone easier to read. Boring, you mean? Maybe. She smirked. Sorry to disappoint. You didn't? They walked back to the ballroom together, and Cassian realized something unsettling. He didn't want the night to end. The reception dragged on. Speeches were made. Victor's father, long-winded and self-congratulatory. Alara's mother, tearful and vague. A best man who told jokes that didn't land. Cassian and Naomi sat through it all, a united front against the tide of manufactured joy. Then came the toasts. Victor stood, glass raised, and delivered a speech about love and partnership that sounded like it had been written by a committee. Alara smiled beside him, her hand in his, her eyes glassy. Applause. Then Alara stood. She thanked everyone for coming, thanked her parents, thanked Victor's family. Her voice was steady, practiced. But then she paused. Her gaze swept the room and landed on Cassian. For a moment, the world held its breath. And I want to thank someone who taught me what it means to choose yourself, Alara said, her voice quieter. Even when it hurts. Cassian felt every eye in the room turn toward him. Naomi's hand found his under the table, squeezed once. Elara raised her glass. To new beginnings. To new beginnings, the room echoed. Cassian didn't drink. An hour later, the crowd thinned. People filtered toward the exits, their social batteries drained. Cassian and Naomi stayed seated, watching the room empty. We should go, Naomi said. Yeah. Neither of them moved. Then Victor appeared, swaying slightly, drunk or close to it. Cassian, he said, his voice too loud. One more dance. I don't think... Not you. Victor's gaze slid to Naomi. Her. Naomi straightened. I'm good. Oh, come on. One dance for the groom. I said no. Victor's smile curdled. You know, I've been patient all night. I've let you insult me, disrespect my family, make a scene. But I'm done being patient. Cassian stood. Victor. Shut up, Cassian. Victor didn't look at him. His eyes stayed locked on Naomi. You think you're so clever, don't you? Coming here in that dress, saying those things. But I know what you are. Naomi stood slowly, her expression icy. What am I? A fraud. A sommelier playing dress-up. A nobody trying to look like somebody. And you're a spoiled child throwing a tantrum because someone told you no. Victor's face went purple. You bitch! Cassian grabbed Victor's arm, his grip iron. Walk away. Now. Or what? Or I'll break your arm. Victor yanked free, stumbling slightly. You're pathetic, Cassian. Both of you. Pathetic. He turned and staggered toward the bar. Naomi exhaled, her hands shaking slightly. You okay? Cassian asked. Fine. Naomi, I said I'm fine. But she wasn't. Cassian could see it in the tension in her shoulders, the way her jaw clenched. Let's go, he said. They walked toward the exit, and Cassian felt the room's eyes on them, judging, speculating, dissecting. They stepped outside into the cool night air, and Naomi finally exhaled. Jesus, she muttered. I'm sorry. For what? For bringing you into this. She looked at him, her expression softening. You didn't force me. I paid you. And I took the money. My choice. Cassian ran a hand through his hair. Still. They walked toward the valet stand in silence. The city sprawled below, lights flickering like dying stars. Can I ask you something? Naomi said. Yeah. Why do you do this to yourself? Do what? Put yourself in situations where you know you'll get hurt. Cassian stopped walking. What makes you think I'm hurt? Because I've been watching you all night. And every time you look at her, you flinch. He didn't deny it. So why? Naomi pressed. Why come here? Why torture yourself? Cassian stared out at the city. Because if I didn't, it would mean she won. Won what? Everything. Naomi shook her head. That's not how it works. Isn't it? No. She stepped closer. You can't win or lose a relationship. You can only survive it. And if you don't, then you learn to live with the scars. Cassian looked at her. You sound like you know. I do. The valet brought Cassian's car, a sleek black sedan that whispered money. He opened the passenger door for Naomi, and she slid in without comment. He drove in silence, the city blurring past. Naomi stared out the window. Where are we going? I don't know. Helpful. He almost smiled. They ended up at the waterfront, parked near a pier that jutted out into the dark. The water lapped against concrete. Distant ships blinked red and green. Cassian killed the engine. Silence. Can I ask you something? He said. Sure. Earlier, you said someone tried to make you smaller. What did you mean? Naomi was quiet for a long moment. I was engaged once. Cassian turned to look at her. What happened? He wanted me to quit my job. Said it wasn't appropriate for his wife to work in restaurants. Said I should focus on hosting dinners, raising kids, being decorative. What did you do? I gave him back the ring. And? And he told me I'd regret it, that I'd end up alone, bitter, working myself to death for nothing. Did you regret it? She met his eyes. Not for a second. Cassian nodded slowly. Good. What about you? Naomi asked. What happened with Elara? He hesitated. She wanted me to be softer, warmer, more available. And you couldn't? I didn't know how. Did you try? I thought I did. He exhaled. But looking back, I think I just performed the idea of trying. I didn't actually change anything. Why not? Because changing meant admitting I was wrong, and I couldn't do that. Naomi nodded. Pride's expensive. Yeah, it is. They sat in silence, the city humming behind them. What now? Naomi asked. What do you mean? The job's done. We showed up. We played the part. What happens next? Cassian didn't have an answer. I mean, Naomi continued, do we just go back to our lives? Pretend tonight didn't happen? That was the deal. Was it? He looked at her. What are you asking? She turned to face him fully. I'm asking if you want to. Cassian's throat tightened. Want to what? Pretend. The word hung between them, heavy with implications. I don't know, Cassian admitted. That's honest, at least. Naomi, it's fine. She looked away. Forget I said anything. No. Cassian, no. He reached for her hand, hesitated, then took it anyway. I don't want to pretend. She stared at their joined hands. Then what do you want? I don't know, but it's not nothing. Naomi's breath hitched slightly. That's terrifying. Yeah, it is. They sat like that, hands linked, the silence no longer uncomfortable. Then Naomi's phone buzzed. She pulled it out, frowned. It's Lauren. What? She texted me, says there's something I should know. About what? Naomi opened the message, read it, and her expression went cold. What? Cassian asked. She turned the phone toward him. The message read, Victor's been telling people you're an escort. Thought you should know. Cassian felt rage ignite in his chest. That son of a... It's fine, Naomi said, her voice flat. It's not fine. Cassian, he doesn't get to do this. What are you going to do? Go back there and start a fight? Maybe. Don't. Naomi's grip on his hand tightened. Don't give him the satisfaction. He just called you a... I know what he called me, and I don't care. How can you not care? Because his opinion means nothing. She met his eyes. The only opinions that matter are mine and yours. Cassian stared at her. Naomi, do you think I'm an escort? No? Then we're done. But they weren't. Cassian could feel it, the shift, the crack, the point where everything tipped. I'm going back, he said. Cassian, I'm going back, and I'm ending this. Ending what? Him, his bullshit, all of it. Naomi shook her head. That's not going to fix anything. Maybe not, but it'll feel good. He started the car. Cassian, don't... But he was already driving. They arrived back at the venue 20 minutes later. Most of the guests were gone, but the lights were still on, the ballroom still occupied by stragglers and cleanup crew. Cassian parked and got out. Naomi followed, cursing under her breath. This is stupid, she said. Probably. You're going to regret this. Also probable. They walked inside. Victor was still there, tie loosened, jacket off, holding court with a small group near the bar. He saw Cassian and grinned. Back so soon? Cassian walked straight toward him. We need to talk. About what? About the lies you've been spreading. Victor's grin widened. I have no idea what you're talking about. You told people Naomi's an escort. Did I? Victor glanced at his friends, who smirked. Must have been a misunderstanding. Apologize. Or what? Cassian stepped closer. Or I'll make you. Victor laughed. You're really going to threaten me? At my own wedding? I'm not threatening, I'm promising. The group around Victor went quiet. Victor's smile faded. You know what your problem is, Cassian? You think you're dangerous. You think you're some kind of kingpin because you made money in the shadows. But you're just a thug in an expensive suit. And you're a coward hiding behind your family name. Victor's face went red. Get out. Make me. For a moment, it looked like Victor might actually swing, but then Alara appeared. Stop, she said, her voice sharp. Both men turned. She looked exhausted, makeup smudged, hair coming loose. The perfect bride facade finally crumbling. Alara, Victor started. Shut up, Victor. He blinked. What? I said shut up. She turned to Cassian. You need to leave. Not until he apologizes. He's not going to apologize, and you coming back here just makes it worse. He called her itch. I know what he called her. Ilara's voice cracked. And I'm sorry, but you being here, causing a scene, it doesn't help. Then what does? Leaving, walking away, letting me have one night where I don't have to clean up your mess. The words hit like a slap. My mess? Cassian repeated. Yes, your mess. Your need to prove something. Your need to win. Ilara's eyes filled with tears. I'm getting married, Cassian. Can't you just let me have that? You're not happy. That's not your decision. Then whose is it? She didn't answer. Naomi stepped forward, her voice calm. We should go. Cassian looked at her, then back at Ilara. Fine, he said quietly. He turned to leave, but Victor couldn't let it go. That's right, Victor called after him. Run away, like you always do. Cassian stopped. Cassian, Naomi warned, but it was too late. Cassian turned, walked back and punched Victor in the face. Victor went down hard, blood streaming from his nose. The ballroom erupted. Ilara screamed. Security rushed forward. Victor's friends surged toward Cassian. Naomi grabbed his arm. We're leaving. Now. She dragged him toward the exit, and Cassian led her. Behind them, chaos. They burst through the doors into the night, and Cassian's hand throbbed. Get in the car, Naomi said. He did. She drove this time, pulling out of the lot with tires screeching. Neither of them spoke for 5 minutes. Then Naomi pulled over, killed the engine, and turned to face him. What the hell was that? He deserved it. That's not the point. Then what is? The point is you just proved him right. Her voice shook. You just proved you're exactly what he said. A thug in an expensive suit. Cassian's jaw clenched. He called you. I don't care what he called me, Naomi shouted. I care that you threw away whatever shred of dignity you had left for what? Revenge? Pride? He insulted you. So what? People insult me every day. I don't need you to defend my honor. Then what do you need? She stared at him, breathing hard. I need you to stop treating this like a war you can win. Because you can't. You already lost. The moment you walked into that wedding, you lost. The words cut deep. Naomi. I'm done. She opened the car door. I'm walking. Don't. But she was already out, striding down the sidewalk, her red dress like a wound against the dark. Cassian sat there, alone in the car, his hand aching, his chest hollow. And for the first time in years, he didn't know what to do next. The toast came without warning. Naomi stood, her chair scraping against marble, and the room fell silent like someone had cut the power. Conversations died mid-sentence. Forks paused halfway to mouths. Even the string quartet seemed to sense the shift, their final note hanging in the air like a question mark. Cassian's hand tightened around his glass. They hadn't planned this. This wasn't part of the script. Naomi lifted her champagne flute, the crystal catching light like a blade. I'd like to say a few words, she said. Her voice carried, not loud but clear. Absolute. The kind of voice that didn't ask for attention because it already owned it. Ilara's smile froze. Victor's hand stilled on her shoulder. Cassian felt his pulse kick up. What the hell are you doing? But Naomi's gaze swept the room with the calm of someone who'd already calculated every angle, every exit, every consequence. I don't know most of you, she began. I'm not family. I'm not old money. I'm just someone who appreciates beautiful things. She paused, letting the silence stretch. And this wedding, is beautiful. Perfect, even. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Cassian watched Ilara's shoulders relax slightly. Victor's smile returned. Too soon. But perfection, Naomi continued, her tone shifting, still elegant but now edged with something sharper, is exhausting, isn't it? The murmurs stopped. We spend so much time polishing the surface, making sure every detail is flawless, every smile just right, every word carefully chosen. She turned slightly, her gaze landing on Ilara. We build these perfect lives, perfect marriages, perfect futures, and we tell ourselves it's enough. Ilara's face paled. But underneath all that polish, Naomi said softly, what's really there? The room held its breath. Victor stood abruptly, his chair scraping back. I think that's enough. Is it? Naomi's eyes shifted to him. Because I think we're just getting started. Cassian felt ice slide down his spine. This wasn't disruption. This was demolition. Victor's jaw clenched. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Naomi tilted her head. See, I work with wine. And the thing about wine is, it can look perfect on the outside. Beautiful bottle, elegant label. But if it's been stored wrong, if it's been sitting too long in the heat, exposed to light, she paused. It turns, goes rotten from the inside out, and you don't know until you open it. Someone gasped. Alara stood now, her hand trembling on the table. Stop. But Naomi wasn't finished. The worst part is when you realize the rot's been there all along. You just couldn't see it through the glass. Victor's face went crimson. Who the hell do you think you are? Naomi met his fury with perfect calm. Someone who knows the difference between vintage and vinegar. The room erupted. Voices overlapped. Shock, outrage, nervous laughter. Alara's mother stood, clutching her pearls like they might save her. Victor's father looked like he'd swallowed glass. Cassian rose slowly, his mind racing. He needed to get Naomi out. Now. Before this became something irreversible. But Victor stepped forward, blocking his path. You think you're clever? Victor's voice shook with rage. Coming here with your hired date, pretending to be something you're not? Cassian's blood went cold. Victor turned to address the room, voice rising. You want to know who Naomi Vale really is? She's not a curator. She's a sommelier at a restaurant downtown. Cassian paid her $50,000 to play dress-up for the night. The room went silent. All eyes turned to Naomi. Cassian felt the ground shift beneath him. Not because of the exposure, but because of what came next. Naomi didn't flinch, didn't stammer, didn't retreat. She smiled. You're right, she said simply. He did pay me. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. $50,000 to stand here and pretend to be someone I'm not. She set her champagne glass down with precise care. But the funny thing about pretending, Victor, is that it's only convincing when you're good at it. She stepped toward him, closing the distance until they were inches apart. And you? Her voice dropped, intimate and devastating. You're terrible at it. Victor's face twisted. You don't know anything about me. I know you've been texting someone named Claire for the past 6 months. I know your hand shakes when Alara touches you. I know you drank 4 glasses of scotch before the ceremony just to get through the vows. She paused. I know because I've been watching, and unlike you, I'm very good at pretending. The silence that followed was suffocating. Alara's voice cracked the air like breaking ice. Victor? He didn't turn to her. Couldn't. His eyes were locked on Naomi, fury and fear warring for dominance. You're lying, he said. Am I? Naomi pulled out her phone, sleek, minimal, and held it up. On the screen was a photo. Victor, a blonde woman, a hotel lobby. Time-stamped 2 weeks ago. Alara made a sound, half gasp, half sob. The room detonated. Voices shouted over each other. Chairs scraped. Someone's glass shattered on the floor. Victor lunged forward, but Cassian moved faster, stepping between him and Naomi. Don't, Cassian said quietly. Victor's eyes blazed. You orchestrated this. You brought her here to destroy us. No, Cassian's voice was steel. You destroyed yourselves. We just held up a mirror. Victor swung. Cassian caught his wrist mid-arc, twisting just enough to send Victor stumbling backward into a table. Champagne bottles toppled. Glass shattered. Security moved in. 2 men in black suits, faces blank, hands reaching for Cassian. But Naomi's voice cut through the chaos. Touch him and I send this photo to every media outlet in the city. The guards froze. Victor straightened, breathing hard, his perfect suit rumpled. You wouldn't dare. Naomi's smile was arctic. Try me. For a long moment, no one moved. Then Alara spoke, her voice barely a whisper. Get out. Cassian turned to her. She stood rigid, tears streaming down her face, her perfect makeup ruined. Both of you, she said, get out. Cassian held her gaze. For a second, just one, he saw the woman he'd once known beneath all the polish. Hurt, broken, human. Then she looked away. Naomi took Cassian's hand. Her fingers were steady, warm. Let's go, she said. They walked out together through a ballroom full of shattered illusions and expensive silence. Behind them, someone started crying. The heavy doors closed with a sound like a coffin lid. They didn't speak in the elevator, didn't speak in the car. The driver, Marcus, always Marcus, knew better than to ask questions. He just drove. Cassian stared out the window, watching the city blur past. Lights, shadows, lives unfolding in windows high above the street. Naomi sat beside him, still wearing that scarlet dress, still perfectly composed, He should have felt victorious. He should have felt satisfied. Instead, he felt hollow. "Where did you get the photo?" he asked finally. Naomi didn't look at him. "I didn't." He turned. "What?" "There is no photo. I made it up." Cassian's chest tightened. "You bluffed." "I observed." Victor's tells were obvious. The drinking, the avoidance, the way he looked at Alara like she was a business transaction. She shrugged. "I gambled he'd been unfaithful. Apparently, I was right." Cassian stared at her. "You just detonated a wedding based on a guess." "Not a guess. An educated assessment." "Jesus, Naomi." She finally turned to face him. "You wanted disruption. I gave you disruption." "I wanted—" He stopped, unsure what he'd actually wanted. Revenge? Validation? Proof that Alara had made a mistake? "What?" Naomi pressed. "What did you want, Cassian?" He didn't answer. The car pulled up to his building. They rode the elevator to the penthouse in silence. Inside, Cassian poured himself a drink. Whiskey. The expensive kind that tasted like smoke and regret. Naomi walked to the window, her reflection ghostly in the glass. "You should go," Cassian said. "Is that what you want?" "It's what's practical." She turned. "I don't care about practical." "Then what do you care about?" "The truth." He laughed, bitter, sharp. "The truth is you just burned a bridge I can never rebuild." "Good. It was a rotten bridge. You don't get to decide that." "Neither do you." She stepped toward him. "You hired me to play a role. I played it, better than you expected. And now you're angry because I went off script. You humiliated Alara. Alara humiliated herself the moment she chose comfort over honesty." Cassian slammed his glass down. "You don't know her. I know she made you feel like you weren't enough. I know she walked away because you scared her. I know she's marrying a man she doesn't love because it's easier than fighting for something real." Naomi's eyes were fierce. "So no, I don't know her, but I know what she did to you." Cassian's breath caught. "And I know," Naomi continued, softer now, "that you didn't bring me to that wedding to prove you'd moved on. You brought me because you needed someone to see you. Actually see you, not the empire, not the reputation, you." The silence stretched between them like a wire pulled taut. "Naomi, don't." She held up a hand. "Don't lie to me now, not after everything." He wanted to argue, wanted to deflect, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he said, "Why did you really do it?" "The toast? All of it." She looked at him for a long moment. "Because I'm tired of people pretending. Tired of watching people settle for less because they're afraid of wanting more." Her voice cracked, just slightly. "Tired of being told I should be grateful for scraps when I deserve the whole damn meal." Cassian understood that. God, he understood that. He crossed the space between them in 2 strides and kissed her. It wasn't gentle, wasn't planned. It was desperation and fury, and something that felt dangerously close to hope. Naomi kissed him back, fierce, demanding, real. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she pressed her forehead against his. "This wasn't part of the deal," she whispered. "I know. We can't." "I know." But neither of them moved. The call came at 3 in the morning. Cassian jolted awake, disoriented. Naomi was asleep beside him. Her hair spilled across his pillow like dark water. His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He answered. "Mr. Wu." The voice was male, clipped, professional. "We need to talk." "Who is this?" "Someone who knows what you did tonight, and someone who can make it very expensive for you." Cassian's blood went cold. "What do you want?" "A meeting, tomorrow, alone." "Where?" The voice gave him an address. A warehouse district on the city's eastern edge, the kind of place where things disappeared. "Who are you?" Cassian asked again. "Let's just say I represent certain interests. Interests you've upset." The line went dead. Cassian stared at the phone, his mind racing. Naomi stirred beside him. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Go back to sleep." But she sat up, reading his face. "Cassian?" He exhaled slowly. "Someone knows. About tonight. About us." "Who?" "I don't know, but they want to meet." Naomi's eyes sharpened. "It's a trap." "Probably." "Then don't go." "If I don't, they'll escalate." And if you do, they might kill you. He didn't argue, because she was probably right. Morning came too fast. Cassian dressed in silence, dark suit, no tie. Naomi watched from the bed, her expression unreadable. "I'm coming with you," she said. "No." Cassian, "No." His voice was firm. "This is my mess, not yours. We made it together, and I'll clean it up alone." She stood crossing to him. "You're an idiot if you think I'm letting you walk into an ambush without backup. What are you going to do? Insult them to death?" She didn't smile. If necessary, he cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. "Naomi, please, stay here." For a moment he thought she'd argue, but then she nodded, reluctant. "Fine, but if you're not back in 2 hours, I'm calling the police." "Fair." He kissed her, quick, hard, and left before he could change his mind. The warehouse was exactly what Cassian expected. Rusted metal, broken windows. The kind of place where rats outnumbered people. He parked a block away and walked the rest of the distance, every instinct screaming at him to turn back. But he didn't. Inside, the air smelled like mildew and oil. Shadows pooled in corners. A single overhead light flickered, casting everything in sickly yellow. 3 men waited for him. 2 were muscle. Broad shoulders, blank faces, hands loose at their sides. The third stood between them, older, gray-haired, wearing a suit that cost more than most cars. Cassian recognized him, Gerald Park, Alara's father. "Mr. Wu?" Gerald's voice was smooth, cultured. "Thank you for coming." Cassian kept his distance. "What do you want?" "To have a conversation about last night." "What about it?" Gerald smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "You embarrassed my family. Your daughter's fiancé did that himself." "Perhaps. But you orchestrated the exposure." "I attended a wedding. That's all." "With a woman you paid to humiliate my daughter." Cassian's jaw tightened. "Naomi acted on her own." "Did she?" Gerald stepped forward. "Or did you give her just enough information to weaponize it?" "I didn't know about Victor's affair." "But you suspected, and you brought someone volatile enough to act on suspicion." Cassian said nothing. Gerald's smile widened. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to issue a public apology. You're going to admit you fabricated the entire thing out of jealousy, and you're going to ensure that Ms. Vale does the same. And if I don't? Then I'll make sure every business you operate in this city gets buried in legal red tape. Every property you own will face inspections. Every contract will be scrutinized. By the time I'm finished, you'll be lucky to own a hot dog cart." Cassian's hands curled into fists. "You're threatening me." "I'm offering you a choice." Gerald's tone didn't change. "Apologize or watch everything you've built burn." "I didn't fabricate anything." "It doesn't matter. The narrative is what matters. And right now the narrative is that you're a vindictive ex-lover who paid a woman to destroy a wedding." Gerald paused. "That's the story that will run in every paper, every blog, every whisper in every boardroom." Cassian felt rage building in his chest, hot, corrosive. "You have 24 hours, Gerald said. After that, the lawsuits begin." He turned to leave, his guards following. Cassian's voice stopped him. "You knew." Gerald paused, didn't turn. "You knew Victor was cheating on Alara, and you let the wedding happen anyway." Silence. Then Gerald looked back, his expression cold. "Of course I knew. But Victor's family has resources, connections, and my daughter's happiness is less valuable than the merger those connections provide." Cassian stared at him, sickened. 24 hours, Mr. Wu." The door slammed shut. Cassian stood alone in the warehouse, the overhead light still flickering, and realized something terrible. He'd won the battle, but he'd just lost the war. He drove back in a daze, his mind spinning through options, scenarios, exits. None of them ended well. If he apologized, he destroyed Naomi. If he didn't, Gerald would destroy him. There was no third option. He parked outside his building and sat in the silence, staring at nothing. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Again. He answered without thinking. "Mr. Wu, this is Detective Sarah Chen with the Metro Police. I need you to come down to the station." His blood froze. "Why?" "We've received a complaint. Extortion, harassment, assault." "From who?" "Victor Han. He's alleging that you and an associate, Naomi Vale, blackmailed him at his wedding last night." Cassian's world tilted. That's not true. Then you'll have no problem coming in to discuss it. Am I under arrest? Not yet, but I'd advise you to cooperate. The line went dead. Cassian sat frozen, his hands gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. They'd planned this, Gerald and Victor, a coordinated strike, financial ruin from one side, criminal charges from the other, and Naomi. Naomi was caught in the crossfire. He had to warn her. He grabbed his phone and dialed. It went straight to voicemail. He tried again. Nothing. Panic clawed at his throat. He sprinted into the building, took the elevator up, burst through his penthouse door. Naomi! Silence. The apartment was empty. On the kitchen counter, a single piece of paper. He picked it up with shaking hands. They came for me. Said if I didn't turn myself in, they'd charge you with conspiracy. I'm sorry. I won't let you take the fall for something I did. And Cassian's vision blurred. No. No, no, no. He grabbed his keys and ran. The police station was a concrete fortress on the city's north side. Fluorescent lights, linoleum floors, the smell of burnt coffee and desperation. Cassian pushed through the doors, breathless. I need to see Naomi Vale. She was brought in. Mr. Wu. Detective Chen appeared from a side hallway. Mid-40s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense demeanor. I was hoping you'd show up. Where is she? In holding. She turned herself in an hour ago. On what charges? Extortion, defamation, fraud. Cassian felt his chest constrict. That's insane. She admitted to it. The world stopped. What? Detective Chen pulled out a tablet, tapped the screen, and turned it toward him. Footage. Black and white. Naomi sitting in an interrogation room, looking small under the harsh lighting. Did you fabricate evidence against Victor Han? A voice off camera. Yes? Did you demand money to keep that evidence private? A pause. Then, yes. Cassian couldn't breathe. She's lying, he said. She's protecting me. Or, Chen said calmly, she's telling the truth. I was there. I know what happened. Then you should also know that Ms. Vale signed a confession. She's taking full responsibility. Why would she do that? Chen's expression softened just slightly. Because she thinks she's saving you. Cassian's legs almost gave out. I need to see her. Not possible. She's being processed. Please. Chen studied him for a long moment. Then she sighed. 5 minutes. That's all I can give you. The interrogation room was small, windowless. Naomi sat at a metal table, hands folded in front of her. She looked exhausted, smaller somehow. When Cassian walked in, she didn't meet his eyes. Naomi, you shouldn't be here. He sat across from her. Why did you confess? Because it's true. It's not. You didn't extort anyone. I threatened Victor. I showed him a photo that didn't exist. That's fraud. That's not... Cassian stopped, forced himself to breathe. Naomi.